Easter Sunday massacre wipes out entire family. New York Daily News. On a cold, blustery Easter Sunday, March 30, 1975, Leonard, 42, and his family drove about 2 miles to a house on Minor Estate in Hamilton, Ohio, a town of 68,000 not far from Cincinnati. Leonard's widowed mom, Charity, 65, lived there with her younger son, James Urban, 40, a bachelor who was unemployed at the time. Charity had a big Easter celebration planned. Some of Charity's neighbors noticed Leonard's large black van pull up in the afternoon. They saw the family, Leonard, his wife Alma, 38, and 8 children ranging in age from 17 to 4 years old, pile out for an Easter egg hunt on the lawn. The children giggled and carried their goodies in brightly colored baskets as they entered the house. Hours later, the neighbors noticed squad cars roaring up to the address. Police were responding to a mysterious phone call that came in around 9:30 p.m. from a man who offered no identification. "There's been a shooting," the voice said. "Dead. They're dead." James Ruppert, who was later identified as the anonymous caller, was waiting for police inside the front door, blood dotting his clothes and shoes. Inside, 11 bodies were scattered on the first floor of the 2-story house, 5 in the living room and 6 in the kitchen. 8 of them were children. It was a bloody mess, Hamilton Police Chief George McNally told reporters. There was so much blood that Butler County Prosecutor John Holcomb said that when he investigated the basement, the blood was seeping through the floorboards. "It would drip on you," he said. Police estimated the victims had been dead for at least 4 hours. There was only one sign of a struggle, an overturned wastebasket. "Slaughtered like sheep," one officer observed. A rifle was propped up against the refrigerator, and 3 pistols were found in the living room. Newspapers called it the Easter Sunday Massacre. It made a mark in U.S. history, the largest slaying of members of the same family at a private residence. James was arrested and charged with 11 counts of murder. The motive was a mystery, but the trigger for the rampage was a simple question. "How's that Volkswagen?" Leonard asked his younger brother when James wandered down from his room on the 2nd floor. The question sent James into a rage, and he scurried back to his room. Since they were children, James had a seething resentment of his older brother, believing that his mother loved the firstborn best. This anger deepened with each of Leonard's accomplishments: a respectable job as an engineer at General Electric, a happy marriage, and 8 beautiful children. James, meanwhile, was unmarried, jobless, and paranoid. He had been that way since he was a child. 2 activities occupied much of his time. One was target practice. He was a crack shot and was known as a gun freak with an extensive collection of firearms. His other hobby was downing beers at a bar called the 19th Hole. The day before Easter Sunday, James spent hours shooting and boozing. He staggered home at around 3 a.m. and stayed in his room, hungover, until well after his brother arrived. At around 6 p.m., James charged downstairs with 3 handguns and a rifle, started blasting, and didn't stop until everyone in the house was dead. It took about 5 minutes and 35 rounds. First to die were his brother, sister-in-law, and mother in the kitchen. Uncle Jimmy then did away with nieces Ann, 12, and Teresa, 9, and nephew David, 11. He picked off his eldest nephew, Leonard 3, 17, in a doorway. Michael, 16, Tommy, 14, Carol, 13, and John, 4, died in the living room. Holcomb noted that the youngest of the victims held a chocolate Easter egg in his outstretched hand, the tinfoil partially removed. To finish the job, Uncle Jimmy methodically moved from one victim to the next, pumping bullets into the heads of 10 of them. Then he sat around for a few hours before placing the anonymous call to police. James was immediately arrested and charged with 11 counts of murder. A quick glance into his life and mind seemed to offer ample support for his plea, not guilty by reason of insanity. Interviews with neighbors painted a picture of an intelligent man who was a meek, quiet loner, short, 5'5", slight, bespectacled. He had trouble holding jobs and was easy to ignore. Some of Leonard's friends didn't even know he had a brother. Psychiatrists determined that he was a paranoid psychotic but was still mentally fit to stand trial. His case came before a 3-judge panel on June 16, 1975. Prosecutors said the motive was murder for money, a grab at his family's estimated $300,000 estate. At the time of the killings, James was having money troubles. On top of that, Charity gave him an ultimatum: get a job or get out. The panel found him guilty and sentenced him to 11 consecutive life terms. In 1982, he was granted a new trial, in which he was found guilty of 2 murders but was acquitted of the others by reason of insanity. In 1995, he was denied parole. He will be spending this Easter Sunday, his 46th since the massacre, behind bars, mostly forgotten. His name popped up again in 2016 when 8 people died in an Ohio mass shooting about 110 miles from Hamilton. Locals called it another Rupert massacre, a resident told the Hamilton Journal-News. The Easter Sunday family annihilator will be 90, if he survives, at his next parole hearing in 2025. Justice Story has been the Daily News exclusive take on true crime tales of murder, mystery and mayhem for more than 100 years. Click here.